We're gonna try for a less is more approach because I feel like I could get lost in the pencil work and never finish the painting. And since this is to get commissions out, I know that I need to really kind of get the gist and get started, which is super hard for me. Which is why I'm doing this little set of mini paintings. I like looking at their faces, and I've drawn them before, so I should have the ability to draw them fairly quickly compared to someone I've never seen before. And I have a little bit of familiarity with like their bone structure just because I have drawn them already. So the hope is that will help me. My process for the commission I have coming up, we've already agreed that we're going to grid it out. It is a memorial piece, a remembrance piece for a sibling that has passed. And so I want to prioritize it looking correct and the resemblance really being there. And so I'm not going to freehand it. I'm definitely going to do a grid method just to be sure. I just don't want to miss the resemblance somehow, because if you are an artist, you know how easy it can be to just one line can throw a face off completely. Even this, like his jawline just isn't quite right, and so he's looking a lot rounder than he really does. But the actual reason for this is not to practice getting the lightness in pencil or anything. It's actually because I haven't painted skin tones in quite a long time. I've been doing mostly still lives, and so I need to practice some skin tones before I really get back into commissions. I'm gonna draw maybe 4 faces. I've given myself about an hour to kind of get some faces down and then start practicing. And as much as I like to record for you guys, this is actually going to be very beneficial for me. With my ADHD, which thankfully I'm medicated now, but it's still very hard for me to remember steps. So even though I'll practice and I'll do this, when it comes to the day that I need to pull those skills out that I've been practicing for weeks or days or months, that does not come to me like it would other people. And so I believe that I will need the video in order to follow my steps to recreate that, which used to really bother me. Yeah, I've got his proportions off. That used to bother me. That used to really get under my skin and make me feel like less of an artist, because I felt like a fraud that I couldn't repeat things that I had done already. Took me a very long time to feel comfortable using references because I had been told so often that that was, cheating, or that I should be able to just, have a memory bank. And that was just never something that came natural to me. And I really strong armed my way through a lot of art school, and really it did bother me that I feel like I could have done so much better if I had just known. There's so many struggles that I had in college that were specifically related to my ADHD. And I think the only thing that saved me was that I was very personable. And a lot of my professors would see how hard I was working in class and not understand like why that wasn't relating like to the classwork, why that wasn't translating. um I mean, I put in hours. I would be there in the morning, I would pull all-nighters, I would spend my days in the labs working, practicing, asking for advice. And I don't want to say I had bad artwork, I would have really good artwork, but it was never repeatable. To me, it never made sense how I got there, and I always thought that was a skill issue. Um, and turns out it was a memory issue. It was a not having the right coping skills, and not literally having the attention span. And now that I do have medicine, it's been kind of funny to relearn certain skills, um, because now, used to, I would write notes, and I would really focus on memorization and details and just getting whatever I could to, pass the exam, pass the test. And for me, that was just a lot of memorization. And so I would do really great on tests that, I could put that extra study time into. Testing was always really easy for me. I really struggled on like tasks that I feel like most students would find really easy, like activities. I could never follow the instructions correctly. I never really understood what people were asking me for. I never understood what was wanted, or like what the end result was that they were trying to get me to understand. And it's funny now because like I get it now. But I don't know that there was a way for me to understand what people wanted from me back then. Now, I have an attentive ADHD, which means I wasn't hyperactive. I was distractible, and sometimes I would be daydreaming. I had a really hard time getting to class on time. And at first, I had some teachers come down really hard on me for that. It was constant tardies. It was threats to like kick me out of class. And it would never be very much. I would just be like 5 to 10 minutes late every day. And it was always like I couldn't get out of bed. I would argue with myself about, which is crazy. When I tell that to people, a lot of people don't understand what I mean by that because they don't have that. They just get up. And I would like talk to myself. I'd be like, you're going to be late. Like, there are consequences for you struggling to get out of bed. This just looks like Shrek. I think I'm just gonna leave that one. This is not turning out right. And so those consequences just did not, they mattered, and they would give me so much anxiety. But that didn't, I guess, motivate me enough to like get up. And that was terrible because I was always so stressed out. And then those teachers eventually realized that like it was a skill issue. Like I truly could not, I was forgetful. I'd have to go back and get my portfolio. You know, I was always running behind. I could never remember dates and times. So, you know, if you feel any of that, I don't know. I hate to tell anyone to like self-diagnose, but that's kind of literally what happened. I was making some jokes about ADHD and autism and things like that, you know, that are real popular in memes right now. And this is terrible, I started noticing that those things really they really sounded like me. And so those memes changed my life. I actually went to a psychologist and got tested, and they were just like, like it was a pretty easy diagnosis. There were things that I've done my whole life that everyone has noticed and just not thought anything of. I have a really bad nervous habit of chewing my nails, which they were okay for a little bit, but I've been pretty anxious again. So but you know, everyone's like, oh, I've chewed my nails, like whatever. I would chew my nails like until they bled, and it would be like a awful discomfort thing. Like I did not want to do it, but it was just like a problem. I had just had such intense anxiety all my life, but I was always just told, you know, that I just need, you know, that it was just anxiety. It was normal. I just kind of needed to learn how to deal with it. And, you know, in high school, you know, if any of this sounds familiar to you, I hate that for you. Did not, well, let me rephrase this. I felt that I did not have any friends. I felt alone. I felt very othered. I felt like I was misunderstood and that people just assumed the worst of me. I had a really strong sense of justice, which I know is kind of a joke people make around here about, you know, autistic people having like a sense of justice, and that was really true. I would get upset about things that didn't even affect me. Like when I felt that someone was being picked on, or if I felt that someone did not get a fair shake. For instance, we had a girl who dyed her hair red. Our school, I hated it, still do. They had a really weird rule that you couldn't have colored hair because that would be a distraction. I don't know how they're getting along now because, like, that's so silly. But this girl had the cutest blonde hair. Like, it was obviously bleach blonde, but it was so white and so pretty. And I mean, she dressed kind of like a little emo kid. That was very popular back in the day. And she did the stripe that like scene kids were doing. You would kind of looked like a skunk stripe, I don't know. But it was pink in her really blonde hair. And she got suspended. And I remember being so tore up about that. That really disturbed me because I felt like that was such an injustice. It wasn't distracting. It was only like a 2-inch pink strip in her hair that if any girl, you know, with the right name had done, it would not have been an issue. But I just remember things like that, you know, really, really bothered me. And no one else, you know, maybe they cared, but they did not make it like their personality. And I remember just being so upset with authority all the time. I felt like I came from a very authoritarian home where, you know, if something was said or, you know, put out as a rule, then that was it. That was what you did. That was what you were supposed to follow. And I struggled with that. I would argue quite a bit because I felt like that was how you were supposed to solve things. I would try to debate and like offer alternative facts or what I felt like was the truth. And that just resulted in a lot of groundings and, you know, corporal punishment, both at school and at home. And, you know, it made me into a very negative person. It made me really distrust authority and not want to be in that place, which I did. I moved the second I graduated. I left that town, I left that area, and I have never regretted that choice. That was the best thing I could have done for myself. But, you know, I felt very othered. I felt that the rules were only for certain people. I was very lucky that when I was really entering high school, we got a new teacher, and everyone kind of laughs, I think, when I say this, but they were life-changing for me. They were not really new to the area. They had grown up in that general area, but they were new to me, and they just had a different personality about them, and I really took to that. And it was the first authority figure that had really encouraged me in some way and given me like an idea that I could go far and do great things, and that it was, you know, just something, I don't know, it was really neat to, you know, thinking back now, all it was an adult that said like, hey, you can do this. And I didn't feel like I had ever really heard that before. And I'm sure like my parents would feel like they said it all the time, but I think sometimes even if they had said it, it would have been hard for me to listen to them because there were, you know, other factors in our family, like the fact that they were, you know, the authoritarians, and everything they said, you know, could change, and depending on whatever was going on, there was no guarantee that that sentiment would like carry into the next week. And so I think a lot of people deal with that in their families. You know, it's hard to, I don't know, it's hard to take criticism, and then once you have criticism from someone, it's hard to ever take the nice things they say and believe it, because in the back of your head, you always remember like the times that they have, broke you down or said something that just really got to you. So long story short, that was really encouraging to me. I really appreciated meeting them. At the time, not a lot of people took me seriously. I was still pretty young, and I didn't know what I wanted, and I just knew what I didn't want. And so in a way that created a lot of opposition between me and the authority figures in the school. And so there wasn't a lot of encouragement there, because I wasn't gonna reach out to them. The only reason I wanted to be at school was because I did not want to be at home. And I just decided, I don't know, I think this was at a time when technology was on the rise, and I was really interested. And it was kind of something that I just really enjoyed and blossomed into. And I ended up going to some like competitions with the school and getting pretty far and getting to go to nationals, and that sort of encouraged me to take this teacher's class. And I really think I really am hesitant to say that I would have turned out quite so well if I hadn't met certain people, just because they gave me like an alternate viewpoint and an idea of different things that were possible that I would have never known. To me, moving out of that town was not a possibility. It was not something I had ever considered. Really, I said I wanted to, but I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to get into college. I didn't know how to study. So there were so many things that were stacked against me. And that was just one of the people that really helped me get through high school in a time when I felt like I had no friends, no direction, and really just no idea. I did not know how to be a person. I didn't understand how to interact, which looking back, it's so embarrassing. I'm sure I was such a weirdo. But then there were things like I would be voted like class clown, or my last year people really asked me to be the class president, and I absolutely refused because I was so mad because the year before, as a prank, they had got someone to run against me. This is silly, but I really wanted to be class president. That was like some weird thing that I thought would get me, I don't know, not credit, but I thought my parents would really like that, and I really wanted to be, voted by my peers as someone to make change in the school. And yeah, they basically rallied around, and as a joke got some guy to run against me that now I think might have had a crush on me, but he was just always just bullying me, is what it felt like. And he won in like a landslide. And then the next year, I think I had made a friend that was very normal. They had money, they had friends, they had influential parents, and they were really kind to me. And I think they liked how honest I was. And it was they basically took me under their wing, and I was suddenly accepted into a crowd of people that I had never been accepted into before. And from there, you know, everything was up, and that's kind of the end of the high school story. College was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was a place full of people that looked nothing like me and were from different countries and states, and it was the first time I thought, like, wow, there's more to life than, you know, where I've been growing up. And that really was awesome, and it kind of moved me into the next part of my life where I did have friends. I had learned how to mask, I guess. Now I know there's a word for it. I had learned how to like interact and be a part of groups. But I was so desperate for someone to like be in a relationship, and so I feel like I wasted a lot of my college time on things like that, and I blamed a lot of my breakdowns on, or like I guess they would have been like overstimulation or whatever they call it, and I would really blame like my relationships and be like, oh, that's why I'm so upset, you know. And I think if I hadn't been so relationship focused, I would have noticed a lot sooner some of these problems. But everyone just kind of felt like I was just sensitive, which I feel like is something you hear a lot. Like, oh, you're just sensitive. Or that person, you know, you're not, there's nothing wrong with you. You just really care. And that's probably true, that we do care quite a bit, but I'm blown away by the difference having my medication does for me. I have a feeling I am not going to upload any audio with this video because I think it would be embarrassing to share. This is not going as well as I would like, for sure. I don't know why I have such a problem with getting the likeness of someone. Oh, that's too big. Let's see. So his skull goes back right here. Oh, he's got glasses on, and that's what that is. He's got some glasses in his hair. I think it's so funny that Mads Mikkelsen and his wife have like the same haircut. And they both look really good in it, which is hilarious. That doesn't look too bad. Does it look like him completely? No. Do I feel like it's time to move on? Yes, because I will get obsessed. And that is not what I want today. I want to move quickly and move on. I just wish I could really figure out what it is that I need to do in order to see things like this better. This is too wide, I'm pretty sure. I think it should have been more like that. Forever envious of people who just do like really stylized art and don't let things just drive them crazy. But the more practice, the easier it will get. Okay, so that's 2, although I never did finish. I'm just gonna give him like a really crappy. Gosh, that does not look like him at all. His forehead is way too small. This is what happens. I get in the details and I just obsess. And then I'm like, gosh, why is my paper so beat up? That one actually is looking better. Okay, whatever. This one's the best so far. I'd like to do that one, but I don't need to be messing around with non-skin tones. I do like darker skin tones. When they have a dramatic flair to them, they're a lot easier to paint. I think the shape language is a lot clearer. Sexy man. He looks so much like Dean Winchester. Oh yeah, forgot. Okay, yeah, let's do one of you. Of course, there's no top to his head, which I usually struggle with, so we'll see how that goes. For some reason, if I can't see the top of their head, it really throws me. I think the other thing is that I don't have like a particular way that I break down faces. I've tried some different things like the Riley method and that's another one, but I don't remember what it is now. I've watched all the Proco videos, but it seems like the circle never matches what I feel like it should really be. I end up with these funny little circles that I make that don't really match anything. And then I struggle quite a bit with, oh no, I don't know if you guys can see anything. Oh dear. I see how light that looks now. Let's see if that zooming in helps. Okay, that's the chin's looking pretty accurate. I can tell who that is supposed to be by the chin. That's better than what happened over here. I don't know, maybe I should talk more in these videos. I don't know if you guys would like silence or talking. I know a lot of the videos that I watch have people talking. You know, I said I was gonna go like really loose on these, and you can see how that went. This is why I have to be so strict on myself, because I will go so much farther than I'm supposed to. And somehow their foreheads are never big enough. What is my deal with making tiny foreheads? Oh no, that looks awful. What is happening? Goodness gracious. This is when I miss like doing it digitally, because I would have zoomed in and out so many times. I was watching Onip's art, and she talks about like how dedicated to the flipping of the canvas tool, like the mirroring tool that she is, and I feel that. I feel like I need to do that. She actually has a mirror that she keeps for traditional drawing, and I think I could benefit from doing something like that, because golly. Alright, we're just gonna call that quits. Gosh. Alright, I gotta fix the mouth. Then we'll call it quits, because that's gonna bother me. Try to cut it a little tighter, because it does seem like maybe I've made his face too wide. But now I just feel like he looks like a little boy. But maybe I can change that with some good colors. Let's all pray that the colors help, because his mouth is too tiny. Or are his eyes too big? Like, I don't know. I mean, his nose goes out. He has his little curves. He has the corners of his mouth. You know, sometimes you just lose. That's what this feels like. I feel like I've just lost the battle with that, so we're just gonna move on. Okay, so circle, we're gonna put the mouth right on the line. Chin. definitely think that this is his best angle. Like all his facial planes are extremely, I guess, like contrasted. I mean, they're all so sharp. Gives him a very dramatic look. And his eyes are almost not even visible because of the angle. That's not terrible. Something's off. There's some sort of perspective I'm not quite hitting yet. But that's looking better than I was expecting. That's actually pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay. Hopefully I don't like ruin it in the next 5 seconds, but that's actually resembling Dancy, which is the point. So that's exciting. The terrible part about this is that I'm gonna have to paint over these and possibly ruin them. Okay, some things are a little too angular, but that's not like the worst thing in the world. Because at least, look, we know who this is supposed to be. Like it has resemblance. Oh, I think it's right here. This needs to be like, yeah, because he's sort of in a curve. That actually, yeah, okay, I like it. So it was too large, but it was salvageable when I first. It feels so weird that you can't really see his teeth. So this eye is actually too far over. I don't know if I want to attempt to redraw, but we will try. Okay, well, you know, could be worse. So this chin ends here, but the shadow goes down because of the angle. This one will be fun because it's like a lot of shadows, which I'm not. I mean, I feel like it's been so long since I've done traditional that everything feels like I'm not comfortable with it. But at least the planes look good. I feel like that does a lot for a photo. I can't even remember if this is him actually killing somebody or if this is him imagining that he is, like, if he's someone else right now. It's been too long. I need to rewatch. Okay, so his curls are tight to his head. That's weird seeing him from a lower angle. I watched a video one time that talked about how as humans we're always trying to like straighten things out when we draw. And I feel that in my bones. I'm constantly like accidentally straightening compositions. Like he's at a very obvious angle, which you guys can't even see my reference photo anymore, so oopsie. But he's at a very like, you know, extreme angle, and I've somehow almost given him like we're looking at him. It's not as dramatic as it was, or as it should be. I feel like it's getting worse instead of better. So this is probably where I should leave it be. Which now the nose looks huge. Oh my gosh, there is no winning. There is no winning. And this is another thing I do as I draw. And if you guys have like tips, obviously would love to hear them. I feel like I constantly shrink things. That's like something I notice even in my digital art is I'm constantly going smaller. I never seem to be going larger. I'm always trying to erase and go down. Okay, well, that's good enough. It's unfortunate because I think it started out really strong and now it just looks like somebody disfigured his face. And that's the unfortunate part of traditional, is like there's no going back. It's what's done is done and we must all just suffer. But you know, I get that it could be worse. It's just a matter of skill and of learning. It's a pretty good paper F, by the way. Could not tell you what it was. I think it's from Blick. And I think it was larger. I think I've cut this down from what it used to be. I don't know. Okay, so the way I did this before Oh crap, I'm not even filming. This is going very well, up until like right now when I'm like, oh, that looks kind of goofy. Wow, this one's actually, I mean, it's not perfect, but I feel like I got a much quicker. So this part is already incorrect. I can see that. I don't know if I know how to fix it, but we'll see if I can get the angle. I accidentally drew his eye just a little bit too small, and so that threw off kind of where that brow was, which also throws off where his cheekbone was laying. I think I'm always amazed at, like, if one little piece is off, how much that really changes the resemblance. Just the slightest line, you know? So this isn't bad. I'm an hour in, and, you know, this is kind of where I've gotten to. That's a lot of sketches done in an hour, more than what I usually get done, just kind of messing around. Those are too small. Much too small. They make the rest of his face look strange. So his actually in somewhere in there. And then he has his Cupid's bow. And it goes to about right here. It's funny, sometimes no matter how I draw a mouth, they always look like they're smiling just a little bit, even when they're not supposed to. Looks a little bit better. Not really sure if I've angled it wrong, if it's... Okay. There's... Okay, all right, that's not terrible. He's still looking frumpy. He doesn't look like he should. Like, he should be looking much more skinny and angular. So I can only assume that there is something off in, like, the width of his face. I think that's sort of right. I don't know. It's hard because, I mean, like, in reality, nobody has, like, an actual line for their jaw. But that's sort of what it looks like when you're drawing it, so it's hard to tell if I just need to make a shadow shape and just, like, leave it be. Unfortunately, I just don't know that I have the time to worry about it, because trying to be quick, still got to get to the painting practice. But I know that it really helps painting practice if, you know, it actually looks like a person, because the whole point is I really want to practice realistic skin tones, and so if it doesn't really look like them, then what's the point? I really like Mads Mikkelsen's face. He has such, like, a Renaissance bone structure. Very angular. Shadows always look really good on his face. This nose is too low. I love watching videos on, like, how other people sketch faces, just to, like, learn, because it can be just, I don't know, really nice to see other people's processes. Because I'm like, if someone else was drawing this, would they have a different way to, like, master the shapes that he has? I don't know. I think the other really interesting thing is, like, you know, for me, it's about the realism and, like, it really resembling them. If someone was to look at this, even if, you know, I'm not the best, like, I want it to be recognizable. But then, you know, some artists have such awesome styles that even if it is really, like, outside of the realistic realm, you still know who it is. And sometimes I think, I wish that that was my style. Because who's gonna tell you that, you know, it's wrong? It's like, yeah, that's your style. When you have a style that's realism, like, if it doesn't look right, then everybody knows. I guess I just don't know how to draw a jawline, because when I look at the reference photo, his jaw is a lot larger than what I am drawing it. So we go down, which I have a hard time imagining proportions. I never think anybody's face is as big as it is for realsies. Well, that helped. Just, guess I just wasn't aware of how long his face is. And that's why we practice. So that when I go to do this other drawing, when I go to do the commission work, I'm aware of those pitfalls, and I'm like, oh yeah, I better make sure that I'm making his face long enough or her face long enough, because that could throw off the whole thing. And like when I go back to look at these, I might find these three are actually not bad. This one, I'm sure it's the jawline again. You know, it's just like, I'm probably misrepresenting his jawline. So it ends like mid-eye, but that just doesn't look, it's like a downward angle here. Of course, I chose a photo with a bunch of blood on it, so that's my fault. You know, if you don't want to struggle, pick a better reference photo than I did. Okay, so here's the eye. Forehead is like right here, because he does have a big forehead. And I say that in a nice way. But it's true. So, and then he's got his brow bone. There we go. So I have to really make sure I'm not shortening the skull. I'm not shortening where the hair is actually coming out of. Okay, that's pretty successful. This is still too short when I look at the reference photo. That's insane. And I think he's even too skinny. The nose looks correct. The mouth is just a little low, but like nothing crazy. That's, ugh. I don't know how some people do it. I guess they just grit everything out. All right, moving on. I need one more. Gosh, they look like such babies. It's a little. I'm trying to find another one of Will that I really like. Goodness. It's like a whole nother color. His angles. That's... Good Lord. Alright, I'll try it. I feel like all of his have been like really intense. Okay, so the circle represents the top of his head to his mouth. So we have his chin. This is one, gosh, I say that each time, but this one feels like it went even faster. Like I was able to get like a bit of a reference and even quicker than the others. Definitely should have used a different pencil because I hate that I can't just flip it over and erase, but this was the closest one to me when I started. I think I like his nose profile better, but I like his nose like straight on better. They're easier for me to draw in those perspectives. I feel like I'm in a weird, like 3/4 angle that's not quite working. This one's coming out very cartoony, even though I think it definitely has the resemblance. How does that one turn out so much better than the rest? But it's also like very cartoony, which is like not what I've been practicing. His eye, I guess, that's off. His nose needs to be a little bit bigger. It's funny, I felt like his nose was huge already, but like it's actually like much too small, and I do not know how I'm gonna train my eye to stop. Like, I'm really struggling with proportions. I also really turned that compared to the reference photo. Like, he's a lot more downward looking than he was. Looks really good on camera. Wow. Okay, well, we're just gonna see how this goes when we paint. This is still off a little bit. Not terribly though. Okay, we're just gonna stop here. So, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. I definitely think we're at the hour 20-minute mark. It took me an hour and 20 minutes to get warmed up, which I haven't drawn traditional in a while, so that makes sense. Hopefully, if I keep practicing like this, I will see really good improvement. In the next video, you guys are gonna see me do my warm-up for painting, which we're gonna all hope and pray goes well. So here are the final finished sketches